A ladies' man of brazen charm, Duke Nukem was a former soldier turned action hero. He gained notoriety after defeating the mad scientist Dr. Proton. Since then, Duke continued to save the world from disaster, driving back alien forces, which eventually earned him celebrity status and a lavish lifestyle. After spending over a decade in the comforts of retirement, Duke was forced back into the depths of chaos upon the return of his extraterrestrial adversaries. Defeating the aliens once more, Duke continued to enjoy the benefits of his luscious lifestyle, and even sought out to improve his station through political influence. Duke Nukem is a hero whose brutality is only outmatched by his charm.
For millennia, the galaxy has seen several notorious bounty hunters, guns for hire, people willing to take on the most dangerous of jobs for the right sum of credits. Cad Bane was one such individual. Hailing from the planet of Duro, Bane grew up with an unspectacular childhood. Deciding to take his identity and fortune into his own hands, Cad took up mercenary work, targeting a man who turned out to be masquerading as a Jedi. After sparing the imposter's life with the condition of tutelage in return, Cad Bane's exploits became legendary across the universe. During the Clone Wars, his exploits would garner the attention of the Sith Lords Darth Sidious and Darth Tyrannus. Taking on several jobs including an infiltration of the Jedi Temple and the attempted capture and assassination of Chancellor Palpatine, Bane proved to be a consistent thorn in the side of the Order. Though Cad Bane's life would eventually end like all others, his legacy and legendary skill would remain eternal.
For this matchup, Duke will be analysed as he appears in Duke Nukem Forever and its DLC story, with appearances in previous games and comic material being taken into account. Cad Bane will be assessed as of his final appearance in the Clone Wars, and this includes material from both Star Wars Legends and canon.
Round 1.
By the time of the Forever storyline, Duke was roughly aged in his early to mid-40s and remained in great shape despite having spent over a decade in retirement. His strength was borderline superhuman. Loading screens within Forever indicate that he can easily lift an excess of 600 pounds. Duke has shown his muscle power several times, having killed aliens with his bare hands, often punching clean through their bodies or ripping them apart. And this is against a race generally regarded as superior to humans. Despite his immense size, Duke is surprisingly nimble, capable of outmaneuvering assailants with his hands tied behind his back, evading gun and laser fire, as well as outgunning multiple shooters at once. Despite having lived a rather inactive lifestyle, Duke still possessed excellent degrees of stamina, able to combat scores of enemies for seemingly hours. Oh yeah, he can also last for at least 10 hours without breaking a sweat. Duke is also surprisingly durable, having been slammed with enough force to wreck a car, and yet he appeared to be relatively fine afterwards, getting right back into the action. Needless to say, Duke Nukem is a man of incredible physical power, perfect for defending Earth from the threats of other worlds.
Cad Bane's age is not actually known to us, yet he displayed no signs of physical penalty, suggesting that he remained in the prime of his life. Bane was a member of an alien race referred to as the Duros. Though they were known to possess a high affinity for mathematics and space travel, they possess no particular advantages over the typical human. Cad doesn't have many displays of strength to show off, yet he is strong enough to stagger opponents with tackles and snap necks with a single arm, showing competent degrees of physical power. His reflexes were exceptionally astute, capable of intense rapid fire, able to keep some of the best of the Jedi at bay with an onslaught of blaster fire. He could also breach the guard of Jedi with the assistance of his equipment, as well as making expert use of evasion to avoid redirected blaster bolts. Though he's displayed no signs of fatigue, he doesn't have any real displays of pain tolerance or durability, leaving the limits of his resilience almost completely to speculation. One final thing worthy of note is that he occasionally employed the use of breathing tubes. Though they likely assisted his ability to breathe in harsh environments, they weren't essential, as he has been shown to be capable of breathing without them several times. On the whole, while Cad Bane was not known to be the most robust bounty hunter in the galaxy, he certainly proved that he could still hold his own against the best the galaxy had to offer.
This one was relatively easy for me to decide. While one could argue that Cad Bane has better speed and reflexes given his ability to contend with Jedi, Duke's own showings wouldn't entirely leave him far behind. On top of that, Duke has significantly better showings in the realms of strength and durability. He's made better use of his might and has withstood higher amounts of punishment. As such, the physical advantage is awarded to Duke Nukem.
Round 2.
Duke Nukem is a one-man army, having single-handedly saved the world several times when entire military forces have proved to be ineffective. His skills were so revered that members of other races considered him to be among the most dangerous men that they had seen in centuries, which speaks volumes as to just how dangerous he really is. Duke is most well known for his skills with firearms, outgunning dozens of enemies in any given moment, even able to tag targets whilst in motion, which speaks to his experience as a marksman. In addition, he's also demonstrated his adaptability, able to use any weapon effectively upon picking them up, such as when he travelled back in time to World War II and was able to use older guns just as effectively as modern ones. Duke is also a capable martial artist, able to outfight aliens despite having his hands bound. There isn't much information on the styles that he may use, though if his personal gyms are anything to go by, we could maybe infer that he most likely made use of boxing or kickboxing, though this is purely speculation on my part. Duke's only real weakness was his ego, which could potentially prove to be a fatal downfall against an opponent of equal skill or greater level-headedness. Still, more often than not, Duke was able to put his money where his mouth was, and he has displayed signs of tactical ingenuity. He's made use of holographic projections of himself to distract enemies, and is adept in the use of stealth, getting the drop on unsuspecting assailants. His ability to take on several varieties of alien creatures also suggests that he can effectively pinpoint the weaknesses of his targets. While Duke Nukem may appear to be a one-trick pony at first glance, deeper analysis shows that there is far more to him than meets the eye.
Bounty hunters are often known for the assortment of weapons they carry and the skill of which they can employ them. As such, Cad Bane's reputation as one of the most dangerous mercenaries of his time was well earned. Known to respect but not fear the power of the Force, Cad Bane was highly skilled at making the Jedi over-reliant on its power, having contended with the likes of Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, and Ahsoka Tano several times. Bane was an incredible marksman, able to place pinpoint shots with ease, as well as keep Jedi at bay, preventing them from getting too close. As per the Bounty Hunter Code, Cad made sure not to engage Jedi at close range, unless forced to, but when he did, his tactical mind showed its face. He would combine his informal skills of hand-to-hand combat with the use of his equipment, using his gauntlets and bowlers for distraction, and making use of his jet boots to evade and achieve greater environmental positioning. He's proven his effectiveness several times, getting past the defences of the aforementioned Jedi, some of which were considered to be among the best of the 10,000 knights the Order had to offer. When all is said and done, it is no wonder that Cad Bane was regarded as one of the most reputable bounty hunters in the galaxy.
Both combatants have similar degrees of skill, but it is the way in which they apply their talents that sets them apart. While both are comparable marksmen and are one-man armies on their own, I believe that Bane outclasses Duke as a tactician. Considering the enemies he's taken down and outwitted, I feel confident in saying he'd be able to do something similar to Duke. In addition, one could argue that Duke's ego is something that would play into Cad's favour. Sure, Duke can put his money where his mouth is most of the time, yet Bane already knows how to lure opponents into a false sense of security, and this is something that could land Duke in trouble. However, I still acknowledge that Duke is an incredibly dangerous opponent, and it will be difficult to keep him down for any extended period of time. However, when all is said and done, Cad Bane has comparable skill, is a more level-headed and a more calculated combatant, and as a result, he earns the advantage in combative skill.
Round 3.
Duke had access to a wide assortment of weapons. In an effort to balance things out, I'm going to grant Duke a 2-weapon limit, as of the depiction within Duke Nukem Forever, with the additional inclusion of his personal sidearm and signature equipment. Duke's most commonly used firearms appear to be his shotgun and the chain gun cannon. The Remington shotgun fired high-powered shells which dealt devastating close-range damage. The chain gun cannon allowed for rapid-fire suppression at a distance, thanks to its high capacity and high rate of fire and triple-barrel design. Duke's most iconic weapon would be his golden handgun. Originally depicted as a Desert Eagle and later changed to an M1911 pistol, Duke's sidearm allowed for effective defense at medium to close range distances with moderate firepower, and an additional laser sight for assisted aiming. Duke's sunglasses, aside from looking dapper, had the added benefit of night vision, granting the king increased clarity in darker environments, bolstering his spatial awareness. The player is also granted access to several varieties of power-ups throughout the game, such as the steroids and beer can, bolstering their power and resilience. However, it must be noted that these are little more than game mechanics, intended to replicate power boosts of similar design from other games, such as Doom. While Doom would eventually incorporate actual lore into the mechanics of these power-ups, the Duke Nukem series would not, and so their effect will not be taken into account. Something that will be acknowledged, however, is Duke's use of the Holo Duke, a 3D holographic projection of the character, that allows our hero to distract and confuse enemies. The king could also make use of pipe bombs, serving as his explosive of choice with remote detonation. He occasionally made use of a jetpack, allowing for greater mobility and battlefield positioning. At the end of the day, Duke Nukem's arsenal served his purpose effectively, and enabled him to take on several varieties of opponents.
Cad Bane carried a large assortment of equipment and killing tools on his person, ready to deal with virtually any situation. His primary weapons were a pair of custom LL-30 Blastech pistols, which offered mid-range firepower with a high rate of fire, a similar benefit to the Wester 34s employed by Jango Fett. As previously mentioned, Bane's boots were outfitted with rocket boosters, allowing for greater battlefield mobility. Yet they were also equipped with electromagnetics, allowing Bane to negate the effects of low-gravity environments. Though he wore no armour, his gauntlets offered all the protection he needed. When breaching the guard of an adversary, he could inflict a painful electric shock, strong enough to incapacitate even Jedi. Much like Jango Fett, he made use of a wrist-mounted flamethrower, capable of scorching foes alive, and keep them at a distance. In addition, he's made use of tear gas to stagger and incapacitate enemies, and immobilize targets through the use of bowlers and cable launchers. On the whole, Cad Bane is well equipped to deal with any job that he may undertake.
I feel that this verdict speaks for itself. When comparing firearms, Cad Bane's are more advanced, but I feel that Duke's variety and firepower balances this out. To put it plainly, Cad is just as likely to die from a few shotgun shells or a clip of chain gun rounds, as Duke is from a few half-dozen blaster bolts through the chest. However, after that, Bane's arsenal offers greater options and more practical benefits across the board. You could also argue that Bane's jet boots offer greater mobility than Duke's jetpack. Plus, Bane's equipment offers greater defensive utility than what Duke's arsenal grants. While the true effectiveness of equipment comes down to the skill of the person using it, the benefit of the bounty hunter's arsenal is ultimately more practical. Cad Bane gets the advantage in armament and equipment.
Final round.
A fight between Duke Nukem and Cad Bane would be a spectacle of marksmanship and brutal determination. The final verdict ranges from 6 to 7 out of 10 in favour of the victor. The fight would most likely open as a typical long-range gunfight. In these early stages, a combatant's skill would offer little in terms of an advantage, as both would be capable of coping with the other's abilities. After a few minutes of neither gaining any ground, Duke would attempt to close the gap. However, Bane would recognise this and quickly adjust his tactics to keep the king at bay, using his gauntlets and bowlers to repel and halt Duke's momentum. This would go on for a while, as Duke perseveres through everything thrown at him, and he just keeps getting up and coming back for more. His determination would no doubt surprise and impress Bane, but he keeps his cool and continues to manipulate the fight. Eventually, he'd lure Duke into his comfort zone, only to entangle him within the grasp of his bowlers, pulling him in close and following through with an execution-style headshot. And thus, Cad Bane, the most notorious bounty hunter of the Clone Wars, the Outlaw, is declared the victor. Well, that marks the conclusion of another matchup. I hope you guys enjoyed as much as I did, if not more. I am sad to see the king lose, but of course, only one may emerge victorious, and this was the conclusion I came to. It's always fun for me when I run down and analyse video game characters, as they can be difficult to use, but I ultimately find the payoff to be more rewarding. Well, thanks as always for watching, guys and gals. Remember to leave a like and comment if you enjoyed, as it really helps me out. As usual, links to social media are in the description, and until next time, have an awesome day.